What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Noah Gray here, tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Josh's channel and check out showmefootball.com for more.
What is up, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Josh Fan of showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com, covering your Kansas City Chiefs. And the Kansas City Chiefs just got a barrage of good news that I'm going to talk about right after this. So over the last couple days, guys, we got some positive developments for the Kansas City Chiefs. But let's start with the top storyline from the past couple days, and that has to do with Xavier Worthy, who obviously had a run-in with the law the other day when he was arrested on what was being called an alleged assault charge. He was alleged to have grabbed a family member or someone in his household by the neck and have restricted their breathing in some way. A lot of people were freaking out on social media. I did make a quick video about it, reacting to it, saying that, you obviously don't want this, and it's still hard for Xavier Worthy to come out of it looking good. But we did get an update just a few hours after the initial report stating that Xavier Worthy had been arrested in the state of Texas. And this came from Adam Schefter, who said authorities have declined to press charges against Chiefs wide receiver Xavier Worthy, per the Austin American-Statesman. So what does this mean for Xavier Worthy? Well, it means most likely that he's going to come out of this not getting into any sort of trouble. Again, you hope everyone in the situation is okay, everyone involved. But Seth Kaiser at Real MN Chiefs Fan on X, who is also a part of the KCSN crew, who is a lawyer, actually said a comment about this, stating that it was fast that, the charges had been dropped against Xavier Worthy. But his quick 2 cents was, without knowing the details, the only reason I'd no charge that quickly is if something was presented to me that made me convinced that the report was not true. Xavier Worthy's lawyers also put out a statement refuting the claim, pretty much saying that they had a third party involved in the case, private investigator, that had evidence corroborating the fact that Xavier Worthy was innocent. So far things are looking positive for Xavier Worthy, relative to what they looked like when the initial report came out that he was being arrested. Again, obviously you don't want this stuff going on in the offseason. It would be better if the Chiefs players just stayed out of trouble, but Xavier Worthy looks to have maybe been shed in a bad light there for a minute. Obviously his mugshot was floating all around social media. Never a good thing. But it looks like Xavier Worthy might be innocent in this case. And it was his girlfriend that was rumored to be having, signs of infidelity. And that's why she was being thrown out of Xavier Worthy's house, and something went down. Again, hope all involved are okay. Hope Xavier Worthy's okay. But for now, this doesn't look as bad as it initially did. Other good news for the Kansas City Chiefs is Baltimore Ravens left tackle, who was slated to become a free agent and was reported as being someone that the Kansas City Chiefs had their eye on by Nate Taylor of The Athletic. Well, it turns out he's signing a 3-year, $60 million deal to remain with the Baltimore Ravens. And the reason that I say that this is good news is because I made a video a few days ago talking about the potential of Ronnie Stanley ending up on the Kansas City Chiefs. And I was not really in favor of it, because if you take a look at Ronnie Stanley's injury history, you quickly realize this is not a player that the Kansas City Chiefs should be bringing in, because he cannot be dependent on to be there for the whole season. Ronnie Stanley has only played 17 full games once, and that was this past year. But again, you look at his history, this isn't a guy that I would necessarily trust to be there for an entire season. And then what? You have Wanye Morris at left tackle, or DJ Humphries. I don't think that's a situation that the Chiefs want to sign up for. And also, if you just look at Brett Veach's history as general manager of the Kansas City Chiefs, Ronnie Stanley's not the type of player that he typically goes after. The Chiefs do not like players on the older side that are injury prone. That is Ronnie Stanley. He's entering his 30s. He's injury prone. And the Chiefs can simply not put their eggs in the Ronnie Stanley basket at left tackle, because he just can't be trusted to be there. And the Chiefs have to get left tackle right this offseason. If they don't get left tackle right, then it could end up in a disaster like we saw in the Super Bowl, except for a full 17 games. We don't want that. We don't want Patrick Mahomes getting hurt. And Ronnie Stanley just didn't seem like a good fit in that regard. It's honestly a shame because he is a good run and pass blocker, obviously played in a good running offense in Baltimore, and he was a high graded pass blocker according to PFF. But again, availability is the best ability, and Ronnie Stanley did not have that. Many may ask, where do the Kansas City Chiefs go now at left tackle? And I think, at this point, you have to look for a shorter term deal with someone on the market that's slightly more dependable than Ronnie Stanley, maybe a Dan Moore Jr. from the Pittsburgh Steelers or Jedrick Wills from the Cleveland Browns. But I'll definitely discuss that in a future video. Last part of the good news for the Kansas City Chiefs, they were able to retain two of their own free agents before they hit the open market. First one was wide receiver Hollywood Brown, who's signing a 1 year, up to $11 million deal with the Kansas City Chiefs. Hollywood Brown, I think it's great that he's getting a second opportunity with the Chiefs after missing most of last season with that shoulder injury. This is basically the same contract that he signed last offseason. And if you look at the wide receiver market, again, Tutu Atwell just got $10 million guaranteed from the Rams. Hollywood Brown is better than Tutu Atwell. So I think that's an extremely fair deal, especially when you consider the up to verbiage and Hollywood Brown's contract. He's not making $11 million guaranteed. This is probably going to be a low base salary, maybe $5 to $7 million, with a lot of incentives based on playing time and production, which again, I think is really fair for Hollywood Brown. Chiefs retain a player that brings speed and the deep ball back to their offense, something that's been missing the last few years, but unfortunately we didn't get to see because Hollywood was injured most of the year. By the time he came back, him and Mahomes were never able to get into that rhythm with the deep ball. But by all accounts, training camp last year, Hollywood Brown and Patrick Mahomes had a really good connection. There was highlight plays coming out of every single practice. I'm glad to have Hollywood back. Now, I don't want the Chiefs to stop there when it comes to adding wide receivers. I don't want them to run it back at wide receiver. I want them to continue adding. Hollywood Brown's a good start, but let's see them add a little bit more insurance, especially given Hollywood's availability concerns. And then also combined with the fact that Rashee Rice is probably going to miss time at the start of this year. Xavier Worthy, still don't totally know what's going on, but he's also a smaller guy, an injury risk. Definitely would like to see them add at least one more veteran receiver and then maybe even draft one. And then the second player that the Chiefs were able to bring back in the last 2 days was linebacker Nick Bolton, signing a huge 3-year, $45 million deal. This makes him a top 5 highest paid linebacker in the NFL. I just made a video talking about this, so I'll rehash it a little bit here. But overall, I'm not surprised. I thought the Kansas City Chiefs would do everything they can to keep Nick Bolton. The contract is a little rich for my liking, considering Nick Bolton is a little one-dimensional, doesn't really cover all that well, but he's a downhill linebacker. This is the green dot for their defense. We know that the Kansas City Chiefs really like him. Steve Spagnuolo really likes him. He's basically the team's defensive coordinator out on the field after Spags can no longer talk to the players before the ball is snapped. Nick Bolton makes a lot of adjustments. He does a lot of things that don't show up on the stat sheet. Again, contract a little rich for my liking. Fred Warner's making $17 million per year. I don't think Nick Bolton is $2 million per year less, than Fred Warner. Good. I think Nick Bolton's good. He's not quite that good, though. I think this contract's a little rich. I would have liked to have seen the Chiefs done maybe like a $10 to $12 million deal. That's probably where I would have capped Nick Bolton's salary before I said, okay, we're going to move on. But $30 million guaranteed over 3 years. I'm kind of hoping that's doing the heavy lifting here in this contract, that it's basically a 3-year, $10 million per year deal. We'll see when the full details of the contract come out, though. It's not a bad contract. It's just a little bit more than I would have liked to have paid Nick Bolton, and he's a middle linebacker. The Chiefs have tied up a lot of money into interior offensive line and linebacker, 2 of the lower impact positions on the field. It's an interesting roster building strategy, one that I'm going to be interested to see how much it affects where the Chiefs spend money in other areas in the next couple of off seasons. But guys, that pretty much wraps up the Kansas City Chiefs news over the past couple of days. Overall, good news for the Kansas City Chiefs, especially considering how things were looking 1 or 2 days ago. But a barrage of good news for the Kansas City Chiefs. That's all I got for this one, guys. Definitely want to hear from you in the comments what your thoughts are on the Chiefs bringing back Hollywood Brown and Nick Bolton. Your thoughts on those contracts for those two players? Nice to at least get some guys locked up before they hit the open market, fill a couple of holes before free agency opens. But that's all I got for you guys in this one. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this. Make sure you check out my work on showmefootball.com, arrowheadaddict.com for more. Last but not least, follow me on Twitter at showmefb. That's all I got for you guys in this one. I'll see you all in the next one. And as always, go Chiefs.